It's the end of the year, so it's time to take a look back on the best of the best from the last 12 months. Here are the 5 best PlayStation games of 2022 as selected by GameSpot, as well as 5 honorable mentions that you can't afford to miss. Sliding onto our PlayStations right at the end of the year is God of War Ragnarok, the highly anticipated follow-up to 2018's God of War. In Ragnarok, Kratos and his son Atreus are up against their deadliest foe yet, the end of the world itself. But that's not all. With both fearful of a prophecy that Kratos will die at the end of their adventure, father and son must learn to accept each other for who they are, and learning that loving someone deeply means that eventually, you might have to let them go. Ragnarok tells a heart-wrenching story. Trust me, you'll cry a couple of times. And its combat is as frenetic and crunchy as ever, with both Kratos and Atreus slashing through anyone who dares to try and get in their way with unmatched brutality. Whether they be run-of-the-mill Draugrs, or even the Norse gods themselves. God of War Ragnarok earned a 9 out of 10 in our review, with Tamor Hussein saying, God of War Ragnarok's most impressive achievements are its exploration of loss and love, grief and growth, determinism and defiance. It's an astoundingly well-written game that deconstructs the mythology of Norse gods and rebuilds it as an odyssey about families. Stray isn't just the game that we fell in love with, it's the one that our cats fell in love with too. Affectionately known as the cat game, Stray went viral this summer when people were posting videos of their own pets reacting to the game's adorable, fluffy protagonist. Stray is a puzzle adventure game where you take on the role of a stray cat who has been separated from its family. With the help of a handy drone named B12, you navigate through a dilapidated city that's full of robots, run away from aliens, and get up to a lot of cat mischief. We gave Stray a 9 out of 10, with reviewer Alessandro Barbosa specifically calling out that a lot of the enjoyment throughout Stray's runtime comes from how well each scenario is designed for the abilities of its feline hero. Stray expertly embodies the abilities of its feline protagonist to create a captivating puzzle adventure in an engrossing post-apocalyptic world. Horizon Forbidden West launched at the beginning of 2022, and as the sequel to 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn, it picks up protagonist Aloy's quest to save the world. You know, that small job. After defeating the rogue Hades AI at the end of Zero Dawn, the planet needs a little more help to recover completely. A mysterious blight is sweeping across the world, and so Aloy must gather allies to find some ancient tech to set things straight. If you enjoyed the original, there's plenty for you to enjoy in its sequel, from Aloy's motley crew who are helping her fix the world, to more interesting and varied side quests set in locations like San Francisco and Las Vegas. Our reviewer Phil Hornshaw gave it an 8 out of 10, saying that Horizon Forbidden West sometimes packs in so much that it gets in its own way, but the many well-drawn characters populating its quests keep it compelling. Sifu is a game that will truly test your might, as its clever fighting mechanics are easy to grasp, but tough to master. Upon death, you revive, but with a twist. You're a few years older. With age comes more strength, but less life in your health bar, and getting too old ends the game. The highlight of Sifu is its combat, a dance of dodging, blocking, and attacking, but only when the moment is right. Our reviewer Richard Wakeling called Sifu an excellent modern beat-em-up with deep combat mechanics and a fascinating aging system that sets it apart from its contemporaries by altering the way you progress from one chapter to the next. He gave it a 9 out of 10. There are many reasons that Naughty Dog's 2013 title The Last of Us has endured as a classic for all these years. It's an emotionally gutting story told through fantastic performances that still resonates with players today. Following its PS3 and PS4 releases, and with an HBO series on the horizon, Naughty Dog worked to bring the game to PlayStation 5 in 2022. Not content with just adding a visual overhaul, Naughty Dog added a bunch of new features to this edition, including new game modes, display modes, skins and visual filters, new trophies, and crucially, a whole host of fantastic accessibility features so more people can play. The Last of Us Part 1 sadly is missing the original game's multiplayer mode, but our reviewer Jake Decker said, The Last of Us Part 1 manages to tell a harrowing story of loss and redemption that still holds up despite some of its dated level design. Those were GameSpot's 5 best PlayStation games of 2022, but since you've been good this year, here are 5 more. Speaking of Naughty Dog, it makes another appearance on this list with the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. It bundles together Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, and both games have been updated for PS5, so they feature DualSense haptic feedback, quicker loading, performance and performance plus modes, as well as 3D audio. Uncharted 4, one of the games included in this collection, earned a rare 10 out of 10 from us back in 2016, with Mike Mahardy calling out the game's cinematography in particular, claiming that both in cutscenes and out, it amplifies the wonder of its gorgeous world. Lost Legacy is a fantastic standalone adventure that caps off the whole saga and is well worth your time. Ghostwire Tokyo is the latest game from Tango Gameworks, the studio founded by master of horror Shinji Mikami. While Ghostwire certainly leans into the supernatural, it's not full of spooks, making for an enjoyable adventure around a desolate Tokyo that's submerged in fog. As Akito, with help from KK, a spirit who's inhabiting his body, it's up to you to find out what's going on. While its side missions are a little inconsistent, its open world is beautiful and fun to explore thanks to the game's truly unique combat system. In our 8 out of 10 review, Richard Wakeling said that Ghostwire Tokyo's sheer creativity and attention to detail exhibited throughout constantly shine through. It wouldn't be a PlayStation best of list without one of the platform's most well-known franchises, Gran Turismo. The latest GT7 launched earlier this year, earning a number of high review scores, including an 8 out of 10 from us, with reviewer Alex Goy praising the game's stunning visuals, customization options, handling and load times. While the core game is great, it's had a bit of a bumpy go over the past few months, with controversies over its handling of microtransactions, online issues, and criticism over its roster. However, the core racing experience is still enjoyable, and we think that earns it a spot as one of our best PlayStation games of the year. What would a skating game be like if the main character had a gun? You may find yourself asking. Well, wonder no longer, because Rollerdrome answers that very specific question for you. The latest from Ollie Ollie World developers Roll7 launched earlier this year, and it's a single-player roller skating game where you balance maintaining momentum, pulling off tricks, and taking out enemies that spawn in the skate parks you're practicing in. It sounds like a lot to keep track of, but trust us, you'll be hitting that flow state and those score multipliers in no time. In his 8 out of 10 review, Phil Hornshaw wrote, developer Roll7 excellently mixes high-scoring skating gameplay with shooter ideas to make a hybrid game that's tough to put down. Of course, I couldn't finish this list without mentioning Elden Ring, the overall GameSpot Game of the Year. It may not be a console exclusive, but it's a must-have regardless of platform. It's an open world done in From Software fashion, so it's filled with wonder, discovery, and of course, a whole host of enemies that are ready to fight you at every turn. In his 10 out of 10 review, Timur Hussein wrote, in a genre that has become wrought with bloated and over-designed games, Elden Ring is defiantly contrarian in almost every way. It will go down in history as one of the all-time greats, a triumph in design and creativity, and an open-world game that distinguishes itself for what it doesn't do as much as what it does. And if that doesn't sell you, I'm not sure what will. Those were our picks for the best PlayStation games of 2022. If you want to know the best Xbox, Switch, and PC games of the year, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot on YouTube or check out GameSpot.com. We also have an in-depth video on our game of the year, Elden Ring, and why it got that coveted prize. You can find me on Twitter at LucyJamesGames, and I'll see you next time.